Hello dear learners and welcome to this lesson. Today, we are going to see how PLCs transformed the world of industry and some fundamental facts about PLCs. PLC stands for Programmable Logic Controller, is a special computer used to control an industrial process. The control is performed by internal processing of inputs and outputs through a designed program loaded to the PLC. Before the first PLCs emerged to the world of industry, the control of most industrial processes was done with electrical devices. The inputs are connected through control devices to the outputs with a relatively complex wired networks. This was time and power consuming and made troubleshooting a complicated operation. The birth of PLCs reduced significantly the complexity of the electrical networks, allowing the connection between inputs and outputs. These are replaced by program instructions processed by the PLC processor. This made troubleshooting far much easier and time-saving and reduced the cost of automated systems installation. The PLC system includes power supply. It converts the line voltage to DC lower voltage to power the rest of PLC components. The CPU stands for Central Processing Unit. It is regarded the workhorse of the PLC system since it processes the program, allowing the control of the outputs by the inputs. Memory, the same as a computer, the CPU has its own space memory to store data. There are many types of PLC memory. Each type ensures a specific role. The PLC memory will be covered in the next lesson. The communication interfaces, built-in ports and placed generally on the back side of the CPU such as Ethernet and USB, to name a few, ensure the transfer of data between the different parts of a PLC. One example of communication is the transfer of program from the computer to the CPU via the communication ports. The inputs and outputs or I/O modules, these can be integrated in the CPU. Or they can come in separate entities from the CPU. I/O modules, also called I/O cards, shape fully the two main types of the PLCs, the modular PLC whose CPU needs to be connected to separate I/O modules. The modular PLC is used for complex and large industrial processes with dozens of inputs and outputs such as line production, petrochemical facilities where the product goes through a number of stages. The compact PLC with inputs and outputs are integrated in the CPU, suitable for small industrial and domestic applications such as temperature monitoring in buildings. There are 5 universal PLC programming languages. The ladder logic, sequential function chart, function block diagram, structured text, instruction list. This stage of the course aims at providing the learner with the fundamental concepts in industrial automation that allow him a step-by-step progress and pave him the way to a professional career. Regarding programming, we are going to focus on the ladder logic. Other programming languages will be covered in a dedicated course. The ladder logic is distinguished from its simplicity, practical use, and it is very similar to electric diagram. The PLC inputs include push buttons, switches, sensors. They are represented in the ladder logic by a normally open or closed contact depending on the state of the input. The coil is the symbol which stand for the PLC outputs. These cover a relatively wider range of devices such as motors, electric valves, indicator lights, electric cylinder, encoders. Inputs and outputs can be digital or analog. Digital, also called Boolean, has only 2 states, on or off, such as push buttons, relays activating motors for example. Meanwhile, analog covers a range of values like temperature and flow sensors. It's worth mentioning that some of outputs are not connected directly to the PLC, however the connection is made via relays and contactors. We will see this in the control panel components lesson. Box instructions such as timers, counters, arithmetic operations, among others useful instructions with no equivalent physical devices, make up the core of the PLC program, decide of the control of the outputs basing on the inputs. The PLC program in ladder logic is made up of networks. Each network holds a set of instructions. The program is executed by the CPU instruction by instruction from top to bottom. The CPU executes the program repeatedly in a cycle. The time the program is executed is called scan time, also called cycle time. It is in the order of milliseconds. A key point to retain is this order in which the PLC program is executed, since it ensures the sequencing of the industrial process being programmed. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, be sure to subscribe to Step Plus to receive our latest videos. See you in another video.